easiest thing we want to do now is make something to mount this bottom motor just to the base, right? The ground. What I like to do is clamp it to the table, so I want to give myself a little foot, probably off here, and then I like to make a little cutout here so the thing can turn on a little turntable. So you got to give yourself a little bit of room. The way we're going to do this is we're going to create a sketch, and I find it's going to be much easier to think of this from these little bottom pieces that we're going to screw in. So what I like to do first is I like to rough out my drawing. So I come over here and I make a little rectangle, and then I know that I want this to fit into another rectangle. So I draw those two just so I don't get lost. Then over here, I know I'm going to have these little holes that I'm going to screw through, and they can be a little bit big. I just like to get them pretty much in center of where they're going to go. And if you look, it locks in, which is really helpful. And sure enough, that one locks in. If any of them don't lock in, like this one, for example, isn't, you can take it over here and it will kind of gravitate towards it. If not, just delete the thing. You can always delete stuff, and you can draw it again where it wants to be. And if it's not going to lock in, really don't concern yourself. You could go through here and you could actually make a line. Then you can make sure that that line's horizontal, and it'll pretty much put it in place. Next step, we want to make things equal. That's what this little constraint is. So I'm going to make this one equal to that one. I'm going to make this one equal to that one, and same over here. This one's equal to that one. So now when I change one of them, like over here, I can say, hey, you know what? 6 is pretty good. What about 5? Is 5 good? Nah, 5's too short. Why don't we make this one 6 again? Yep, 6 is pretty good. And let's hit escape. That's going to get us out of that dimensioning tool. And let's make this a little bit smaller so it's not going to run into there. Same with this. And let's take a look at what we got going on here. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. So we're going to use this for now. Next, I want to dimension this. You're going to put in your own measurements. I'm really just putting in measurements that I am using based on this motor. So if I put 40 in here, I know that's going to be slightly larger. If I put 40 by 70, I know it should be probably a little oversized here. And then what I can do is I can move it until it looks about right. I could also like go through the hassle of making sure everything's aligned, which is what I would recommend you do. And you know what, that's whole. I'm gonna make this 5.5. I don't like things running into the wall. And yeah, that should be pretty good. Okay, so we're gonna use this sketch to extrude a flat surface. So when I extrude this, notice it's not going to include these little pieces. So you want to make sure that you're clicking everything. And I don't want to extrude up because then it's going to want to cut this off. I'm going to want to extrude down, and I don't want to join it. I want this to very much be its own little body. And I probably don't want it to be 2 millimeters, maybe 3, a little thin, but not too thin. And I'm going to use this to now draw the rest of the shape, because like I said, I want to clamp this to the table. It has those holes for everything, and so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to see if I can grab the edge, and I certainly can, and I'm going to drag it in because I want to be super duper lazy about this. I want to go -3 because that's going to give me a nice even wall that's going to be long enough, and I'll finish that sketch too, and I'll extrude this outer perimeter down, let's say, to the ground here, because I want this slightly floating so it's not moving against the table. I'm going to take it down to 30, and I'll keep it at join, but I do want to keep an eye to make sure that nothing's touching. That's always a good idea. And then over here, like I said, I want to clamp this to the table, so I'm going to create one more sketch, and that is going to be to just give me something that I can basically put a clamp on so that we don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to make this slightly larger. I'm just going to go over to edge, and then I'll assign whatever this is. Remember I said it was 40, so we make this 40. No need to make anything complicated. Over here, I'm going to make this, you know what, I'm going to make this 75. Same with over here. I'll make another one. So we'll go here on edge. We'll drag this out. So in here, I said it was 40. If I click tab, it'll take me to the top. I can say that one's 75, and that should be pretty good. All right, it's looking good. And I'm just going to extrude those two rectangles. Remember, you can always slow down the video. You can always go, you know, at any pace you want. I'm here to help you. If something's unclear, I'll make you another video. No concern of mine. So we're going to make this 10 millimeters tall. And that is the first block that we've made now. That should, you know, be pretty easy for our servo.